Mayor Ritzman and members of council, thank you for allowing me to speak tonight as a concerned citizen and as an architect about the proposed development on the Crook site. It is great to see BMI, a client I have on another project, to take on this ambitious project to refurbish the city's first and largest furniture plant founded by George McLagan. Once the home of the Dutch infantry in the Second World War, it is quite a coincidence that BMI, a company with Dutch roots, plans to transform this structure and land into homes for Stratford residents. As an architect, a lifelong citizen, and someone who cares about the city, I believe repurposing this industrial building into the much needed housing, developing the site with 37% landscaped open space, and installing green or living roofs on the 5-story apartments. Quite commendable. However, other aspects of this development lack respect for the neighbors and every citizen in this community. The question is it respectful intensification? I'm concerned that what happens on this site in the adjoining neighbors' backyards will also occur in every backyard in the city. Make no mistake, this development, as proposed, will set a precedent in Stratford. After this development, one must ask, is my backyard next? Respectful intensification occurs when the developer shows consideration and regard for the city's planning policies, which affect all its citizens. This council demands respect from all participants during council meetings, and rightly so, just as neighbors expect respect from developers when any development is made in their neighborhood. They also expect council to enforce this respect just as they do council meetings. The density may be high, but the Ontario government's mandate and its provincial planning statement cannot challenge this. Hence, the principal respect points for this development are height and parking. Height. Is it respectful to have a 10-story feature, as described in the Builder's Block website, building 5 on this slide, across the street from a 1.5-story house? No. Even 22 meters tall, or 7 stories, a story higher than Park Towers, which was built 6 years ago, still isn't right. Look, folks, these buildings are here, will be here for a long time, and they won't go away. Although the site has an existing 4-story building, and other similar neighborhoods have 4-story apartment buildings, what is the reason for the precedent-setting tall building? Is it the view, sounds, and odors of the rail yards across Regent Street? Or the view of the industrial buildings on Romeo Street South? No, it's not the view. Is it because land costs are high and the developer must have a tall structure to offset the land cost per unit? Well, if that were the case, then all buildings would be tall. Buildings 2 on this slide are 2 3-story lower density townhouses. So it's not the land price. If it's not view or land costs, what is it? It's a bargaining chip to allow flexibility in building design. This project size requires it to be developed in stages with a projected completion date of 2030. The existing building will be developed first, with the other 5-story buildings developed later along with the 10-story feature. The 2030 date extends into the next term of council. Your decision as councillors will handcuff the next council to any precedents set with a decision made on this development. It may go something like this. The developer approaches the next council in 2027 stating they need higher density and taller buildings to make the project feasible. And since a 10-story building was approved, they want the other buildings to become higher or change the townhouses into apartment buildings. The next council is going to find it difficult to disagree with that, since this council has already set the 10-story precedent. Handcuffed. We are all here to do what's best for this city. Since the height of this building is not for the view or the high cost of land, I suggest that council does not approve the 10-story precedent and that the developer max out all buildings to 5 stories if needed to make the project feasible. If this precedent is approved in the backyard of these neighbors, nothing is stopping this precedent from occurring in any backyard in this city. Parking. Development has 1 parking space per dwelling. The red rectangles on this site plan are the 10 extra spaces, which equal 1 parking space for every 1 extra parking space for every 36 dwellings. Think about it. That is 1.1 extra parking spaces per building. You must question this. Will some residents not have more than 1 car or friend over for a visit? Will a retirement or birthday party not occur in the development's community room? Will there not be a community event on the Woonwharf? The fact is, 10 extra parking spots to accommodate the visitors and the extra cars for the up to 720 people living there will not work. Where do they park if they do come? Duro Street? Well, it has no parking. Ask yourself, is it fair to the people who live on Trinity and King Streets when they park in front of their homes? No. A lack of on-street parking is disrespectful to the neighbors who are affected by it. The neighborhoods in this city, which have ice rinks, ballparks, and theaters, know this well. It is also disrespectful for visitors trying to find a parking space or tenants with 2 cars who must rent a space off-site. There's really no reason for it. Is it fair to the other developers in this city who finance their projects to provide, on the average, 1.5 parking spaces per dwelling? No, because it costs them money. Since they were required to conform, this development should also conform to the parking requirements of the zoning bylaw by parking underground, under the areas of the landscape open space, or by using double-deck deep decks under the building. Again, the precedent for reduced parking will handcuff future councils with future developments in the city. Is it respectful intensification? My answer is a clear no. Although this development has many positive features, the precedent set to permit tall structures 5 times the height of adjacent homes and reduce parking without any tangible justification is dangerous to this neighborhood and every other neighborhood in the city. No neighbor adjacent to this development wants an overly tall building. Not one neighbor wants a parking nightmare in their front yard. And from the neighborhood survey, BMI knows this, and councillors, you know it as well. With the approval of these unjustified precedents, every citizen in this city will possibly share this nightmare in their backyard. As a concerned citizen, and to prevent the reality of a bad dream for our citizens, I request that council supports this application with all its great merits, but with the condition that no building exceeds 5 stories in height and that there are no fewer than 1.5 parking spaces per dwelling, because we know BMI is building for better. Thank you.